Hey everyone, Dr. Steve here again, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about calf tightness and how it relates to mobilizations, particularly when we're focusing on knee position and foot position to kind of isolate different parts of the calf. And I just want you to notice that the first thing I didn't say was that we're just going to be working on your gastroc, or we're just going to be working on your soleus or gastrosoleus together. Because in reality, those are just two of a number of muscles that exist in the calf, and we need to break them down in a couple of different ways to address them individually sometimes, especially when we have persistent calf tightness and stiffness in the ankle and things like that. So first, we'll just kind of get familiar with them a little bit. So the first one that most people know about is gastroc here. What you want you to notice about this one is that it does cross the knee joint here. So the next one after that is a muscle called soleus, what we just talked about. And you can see that this one lies deep to the gastroc, but it does not cross the knee joint. And that's going to become important when we talk about how to address it a little bit more here in the next little bit. So from there to another muscle here, plantaris, which is a muscle that not everyone has necessarily, but it does, again, cross that knee joint. And then let's see here, the next one we have after that is our popliteus muscle. And that one, again, crosses the knee joint, so it's going to become important when we're trying to stretch it a little bit. And then deep to that, another muscle, tibialis posterior here, and this one comes down just below the knee, attaches to the bottom of the foot. And then, again, flexor digitorum longus, a muscle that flexes our toes. There again, you can see below the knee joint, comes down and attaches to the toes. Flexor hallucis longus a little bit further down, and you see this one comes and just attaches to the big toe. And then we're just looking at kind of intrinsic foot muscles after that. So the reason to kind of point out those ones that come above the knee versus the ones that come below the knee kind of explain why, if you only stretch or work your calf with your knee locked, that you may not be getting to some of those deeper or lower down muscles, and why you may have some persistent discomfort that's not getting better with traditional stretching. So in those instances, what we need to do is not only stretch with that knee in a locked position, but also work in a knee bent position. And you could see on some of those muscles too, some of them shift a little more midline, some of them a little more laterally. So what we need to do with those ones is start to look at our ankle position or heel position when we're working on things. And that might direct us towards more of those muscles on one side versus the other. And then the other thing we need to look at too is like how our foot is sloped from one side to the other, because that can have an impact on which one of those muscles is being stressed or strained when we are either stretching them, which is good, or loading them, which is great. So I want to show you a couple of ways to kind of work on those muscles with some basic stretches, and then show you how we can kind of turn them into strengthening exercises very simply by just changing how we're loading them. So let's move the camera. Actually, we'll show you, we're going to move down here. So you're going to see more of my feet and ankles than anything for the rest of the video. I hope that works out okay. And the first thing we're going to look at is just a regular old calf stretch. And with this leg straight, so with my knee straight here, I'm going to be working most of those muscles that do not cross my knee joint right now. A good way to change this into more of a loading position is to come up onto that toe first, and then instead of just kind of coming back here hard, what we want to do is press against it nice and slow. We could also add bands or some weight to this, and we're just going to push back nice and slow until we come down, and we can do multiple repetitions of that, where we're just kind of working this tempo, slowly coming down here like this. So now if I wanted to get some of those muscles that do not cross the knee, then what I'm going to do is come into this position with my knee bent, same idea, and then we can raise that heel, try to keep that knee bent as we're coming down here, slowly, 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 working that heel to ground, okay? And we can work on those just kind of the same way, working multiple pumps down to ground here, and then we could add weight on top of all that. So we're holding some weight as we're coming back down here, loading it up a little bit more. So now if we need to kind of say that those things weren't working like we thought, the other thing we can do is start to work on heel position as well as that knee straight versus knee bent idea. So if I don't really feel it in those spots that feel super tight, and I can, when I'm coming straight up and down, then maybe I can work heel in a little bit. And I'm coming up onto that big toe and I'm pressing down. And the other thing we can do from this one is unlock that knee, press it up, and then come down on top of it. And then the last thing we can do is tilt that heel out. We want to drive that knee more towards midline, not here like this, but straight towards the ground, but kind of kick that heel out a little bit, come up onto toes, same thing. We can go slowly down. The other thing we can do, straighten that leg, kick that heel in, point the knee straight down at the ground, and slowly work our way back down here. Once these things are feeling pretty good, we can make it a little bit more challenging by adding something like a step and then working into a negative where we're coming down below parallel. So again, we can go straight up and down. We can go toes pointed out, heels pointed in, or we can go heels pointed out. And lastly, to make it most difficult, then we can kind of switch it up to a single leg. Oh, and the last thing we want to talk about is using a wedge to kind of work those muscles a bit differently too, because we were talking about that tilt of the heel being part of the problem. So we can do that same thing we were doing before where we're working our stretches, but now we're going to put a wedge on the outside portion of my foot and then work deep into that stretch, or work that heel lowering with that outside wedge. If that's not getting us there, then we can work the other side, same thing. Wedge ourselves with that big toe joint coming in, and then we can work up here, push down, slowly, knee straight and knee bent. So there's lots of different ways to kind of work those things, and maybe one of those in particular is the one that you're missing. So again, I would recommend playing around with that idea of knee bent versus knee straight, heel pointed straight forward, pointed in or pointed out, as well as that kind of wedging idea of getting the foot higher on one side or the other, and then loading it either as a stretch or as a strengthening exercise, that eccentric drop, or even worse so with that negative where we're coming down below parallel. So give those a try, see if they seem to help you with your stiffness. If you have any questions about it, as always, you can always reach out to me, and then we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.